Hey, it's Kate from Prenursing Smarter, and today we're going to cover the TEAS math section. I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you structure your studying. We'll go over exactly what you need to know step by step, and I'll give you some resources to help you succeed. We'll also answer some common questions like, do you get to use a calculator? Thanks so much for being here today. I've helped more than 10,000 students study for the TEAS, and now I'm excited to help you. So step 1 to study for the TEAS math section is to do 5 to 10 practice questions every day if you can. If you have math anxiety, start with 3 questions, and you don't need to do them all at once. The goal here is to just start getting yourself exposed to math questions, getting practice, and getting familiar with the types of questions you'll see. When you're doing these practice questions, don't time yourself. You don't need to worry about that yet. Don't give yourself that pressure. I'll include some links and resources so that you can get study materials for these types of practice questions. The second step is to start memorizing. The TEAS math section is a lot of information, and there are certain formulas that you just need to know like the back of your hand. This is great because you only need to do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day, every other day. It will build up if you do it consistently. You can start with flashcards, reading formulas out loud, maybe writing them out 10 times each, or having your child or your partner quiz you. This will help you build practice and repetition, because you need to build speed and recall, and these are really easy wins for when you see these questions on the TEAS math section. We'll talk about this more soon, but right now, some formulas that are great to know would be perimeter, area, and volume, particularly for squares, circles, and triangles. You'll also need to know the formulas for velocity, which is also speed, and formulas for central tendency and range. Percent increase and percent decrease are also great to know for the TEAS math section. You'll also want to know the order of operations, or PEMDAS, and fraction rules for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Quick tip is that when you divide a fraction, you have to flip-flop the second fraction and change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Another overlooked area when it comes to memorization is translating words into equations. This is very, very helpful for word problems. What this means is that if you see a word like by, that could signal multiplication. The biggest one I want you to know right now is that if you see the word is, it means the equal sign. So is translates to the equal sign. This will help you with every single word problem you see on the TEAS. And I have a whole handout covering all of these words in my TEAS math program. I also have flashcards with all the formulas done for you. You don't need to go out and gather up all the formulas you might see on the TEAS. I've already done them for you. Now let's talk about step 3, which is all about preparing for testing conditions. You do get to use a calculator on the TEAS math section. This is great. When I first started teaching for the TEAS, you actually couldn't use a calculator. The one you do get, however, is called a 4-function calculator, and it's fairly limited in what it can do. It's also going to be locked in your computer screen. So when you're taking your practice questions, 3 to 5 to 10 a day or every other day, if you can, try to use the calculator that's built into your computer or a 4-function calculator that you might find on a website. Don't use the one that's on your phone, because you won't be able to type in the numbers with your fingers on the TEAS. You have to use your trackpad or your mouse. So it's really good to start mimicking that testing condition while you're doing these practice questions so you won't be surprised on test day. The other thing to know is that you'll get very little scrap paper. When you first start studying for TEAS math, write everything out. Don't worry about taking up room. But as you get closer to testing day and you want to start mimicking those testing conditions, know that you might have a small amount of scrap paper to work with. Step 4 is to avoid common mistakes that the TEAS is counting on you to make. There are certain concepts and skills that a ton of students overlook when it comes to studying for TEAS math, and it's totally normal, but let's go over some of those now. So the first is PEMDAS left to right. You probably know PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and subtraction. However, you need to work left to right in any equation. And if you see division before you see multiplication, you actually need to divide first. This is a very common mistake, and it's a very easy way to miss questions on the TEAS. Another common mistake students make is not reducing their fractions. So equivalent fractions are, for an example, 4/8 and 1/2. So both are 1/2, but 4/8 is not fully reduced. If you have a multiple choice TEAS math question that is asking you about fractions, it is very common to see a non-reduced fraction as an answer option, and you will probably need to pick the most reduced fraction. unless for some reason it tells you not to. Always, always, always pick the most reduced fraction. Another common mistake students make when they take the TEAS math section is getting distracted by irrelevant information in a word problem. It is very common for the TEAS to throw in some numbers that just don't matter. I teach strategies for this and do tons of examples in my TEAS prep program. But just know that you might see irrelevant information and start building that confidence up that you can ignore it and it's there to trick you. Another trick the TEAS does is that they will spell out words. So instead of 8, the numeral, they'll write out 8. And it's very easy to overlook that important number if you're just scanning for numerals. This is really great to know if you're ever asked to add up a bunch of numbers, calculate the average, do a quick scan through the word problem to make sure they haven't spelled out any numbers, or let's say half where they write out HALF instead of having 1/2. We are now talking about specific question types you might see on the TEAS math section. So now let's jump into step 5, which is getting specific. Before you take the TEAS, it is great to be familiar with the exact breakdown of question types you'll have, as well as the timing, so that you can start practicing with these content types and know what is most likely to be a scored math question. On the TEAS, you'll have 38 total math questions. 34 of these questions will be scored and 4 will not be scored. You won't know what the unscored questions are. They'll be mixed in with all your standard questions. You'll have 57 minutes to answer all of these questions. That means you'll have 90 seconds to read the question, figure out what it's asking, pick your strategy, solve it, double check your work, take a deep breath, and move on. This is why doing those practice questions and memorization now for just little bits consistently will really help you on the TEAS math section. You'll have 18 TEAS math questions on what's called numbers and algebra, and 16 math questions on measurement and data. Your 18 numbers and algebra questions will cover a variety of topics, and you'll have on average 1 to 2 of each of these types. You'll be working with decimals, fractions, and percentages, either on their own or calculating them within the context of a word problem. You'll need to apply the order of operations, or PEMDAS, with a really long equation, with fractions, or even using one variable. You might need to solve word problems that require you to translate words into expressions. So again, is equals the equal sign, and solving word problems, particularly with formulas for speed, average, and setting up proportions. For measurement and data, you'll be working with charts, tables, and graphs, and knowing about the X and Y axes. Also doing very basic data analysis. Correlation and skew are great terms to know for the measurement and data section. You'll also have questions that require you to work with perimeter and area, including surface area and circumference. You might also have to find the perimeter and area of weird geometric shapes, like a triangle and a square joined together. How would you calculate the perimeter for that? How would you calculate the area? I have a whole unit of this in my TEAS prep program where we go through examples. I show you how to solve them. I do them with you. But these are a really great skill to get comfortable with and do lots of practice questions with, because you will see these on the TEAS math section. I know this is a lot of information, but you've given yourself a great heads up by spending this time today. So I really thank you for that. Let's do a quick recap of the 5 steps to help you with your TEAS math studying. Step 1, do 5 to 10 practice questions a day. If you have math anxiety, start with 3. You don't need to do them all at once. It's okay, and you don't need to time yourself. And I'll link to some resources to help you with finding these TEAS math questions. Step 2 is to start memorizing these formulas that you need to know. I have them done for you. You can check out my free preview as well. There should be some in there. There's no escaping them on the TEAS, so do your best to start memorizing them now. Just a little bit every day will add up. Step 3 is prepare for testing conditions. Know that you won't get a lot of scrap paper, and practice using a calculator that's not your phone and is built into your computer. Step 4 is to avoid common mistakes that you'll see on the TEAS, particularly spelled out words versus numerals, irrelevant information in a word problem, and not reducing your fractions. And then step 5 is get specific, know the exact timing and breakdown, and practice with the question types you know you're going to see. This is a great way to really start to increase your TEAS score because you'll know exactly what to see. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Good luck with your TEAS prep, and I'll catch up with you soon. Happy studying.